Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Hope you all had a great weekend. Sorry there weren't any videos out over the weekend. I just got sick, just a viral illness, knocked me out for like a day. And then I figured, you know what? I'll just take a weekend off. Let's go for it. But we're back now. It is Monday. And yeah, I'm excited to see what news there is this week. What we're kicking it off with today, though, is a little look at a couple of pretty cool Hydra teams that we've got coming in from the community. This one in the background is actually from Bango. This has been a promised video for a long time, and we finally put it together. Actually, he got this together a few days ago. I'm only just getting around to doing it now. But this is on Brutal Hydra. Absolutely amazing team. Which is really a variant, or I made a variant of this using Razzlevarg on hard, but this is actually a version for brutal and does massive damage. So I'll show you that in a second. Before we dive into that, a couple of things to touch on first. The first thing I want to touch on actually is this. So we do have some news about potential changes coming to Hydra from the Raid Digest. So first of all, and this surprised me, the taunt buff is actually intended, right? So basically, the taunt buff prevents Hydra from devouring champions. So a champion like, let's say, Emic Trunkheart's a brilliant example. He comes in, he puts taunt up on himself for 2 turns. It basically forces single target attacks to go to him. So yes, turns out it actually is intended that devour is a single target thing, and because taunt is up, that they can't actually go and devour. This is a huge surprise to me. I really didn't expect it. So that's pretty exciting. Honestly, any champion like Emic, you've got Ruark with taunt as well. I think Emic is the big one, where Emic is, potentially doing a bit of mischief tanking and also bringing cooldown reduction for your team. So Emic is pretty good for Hydra, actually, because of this. He is going to delay devours. Not fully, not 100%, but fairly consistently. And certainly the more taunt champions that they add in the future, the more value this could have. So this is a big thing to keep an eye on. Any champion with taunt coming in the future, it can really delay devours and therefore push your potential damage higher and higher, which is pretty crazy. Another interesting thing from this is that they're saying that they're going to keep monitoring individual champs' performance on Hydra to make sure there's no single champion who grants too much of an advantage in this content. I'm honestly kind of sick of talking about this sort of stuff at this point. Let me see, where was it that I had this? I think, yeah, over here. If I jump over, I put up a vote a couple of days ago, which is just asking you guys what changes should happen to Hydra. And this is actually pretty interesting. 19% want no changes at all, and in fact 15% want to revert the cadaver nerf. So that's over 1/3 of people that want either no nerfs or just to revert the nerfs. Very anti-nerf. 6% want to nerf Trunda, 37% nerf Yumiko, 23% other. I think one of the most common comments for other was to really see the rewards for Hydra and Hydra Clash increase, that they feel that those rewards are just not good enough. But yeah, I mean, this looks pretty, like, I look at this, I tell you, this is a divided community. Like, maybe people are happy with multiple options. That's fine. Like, maybe you voted for none, but if they nerfed Yumiko, you'd be like, okay, I can live with it. It's not going to bother me too much. But I mean, even the most popular option here is 37%. That means 63% of people, in theory, don't want that option. So it feels like whatever they do, people are going to be unhappy, which is kind of crazy. Also worth noting as well, CVC tomorrow is with personal rewards, so I'll be doing the stream for that, so come hang out. It'll be starting when the CVC actually starts in game, and we're gonna pull and build Timid and Kaja and see what we can do. So it's gonna be a pretty fun one with the Fusion Boys, Fusion Boys. So actually, before we break down this one for Brutal, you can see it's a slow run, guys. We're not gonna watch the whole thing, obviously, but before we jump into that, one cool thing we've got over here on the second window is from another community member. Actually, let me get his name, because I forgot to write this. I got all these tabs ready and then I forgot his name. So this is from Diaflo or Florian, and I thought this is quite cool because look, he's bringing in mythical champions. This is just on Hydra normal here, but I still think it's a pretty interesting showcase for a different style of team. But you can see Garahal is doing 200 million damage, doing a massive chunk of damage. Then he went in and he brought in one of my favorite champions, Bambus, right? So he actually swapped out Uko and he swapped out Mashald, and he brought in Bambus and Rule the Huntmaster instead, and this time did 700 million damage on normal, which is, again, that's pretty insane. You see Garol is doing 400 million, which is nuts. What is going on here? I thought it was just interesting, right, to see a mythical champion come in and do the work. I really think it's Form 2 of Garol. In fact, it definitely is Form 2 of Garol that's being used. Number 1, massive base stats, but big AoE attack that ignores defense and does more damage for every buff. And we've got quite a few buffs in this team, right? Our base puts out lots. Lydia does as well. Rule is increased accuracy. Bambus, increased accuracy. There's actually lots of increased accuracy on this team. So that's interesting. But then the A1, which can repeat the attack with the passive whenever an ally attacks, has a 25% to team up with them and join that attack. So I think that's actually pretty cool as well, right? In Hydra, you've got all these teammates. This ally attack can really add up and be powerful. So I thought this was a fun team to actually see that in action. Like, oh, wow, okay, a mythical coming in and doing some work. These are the builds, and some of them are, I think, pretty crazy. I just took a look at Garol, actually. Garol's pretty crazy, so in Savage and Speed, but we're rocking like over 7,000 attack there. We've got 250 speed, almost 300% crit damage, so it's pretty intense in the gear. We've got our base, who's running really quick, like 370-ish. Actually quite squishy, really. Got some crit rate in there and lots of accuracy. Lydia, fairly slow, 237, I would say, but very tanky. Built for some damage with some crit rate. We've got Bambus. He's coming in Cursed set. So we talked about this in previous Bambus videos, that Cursed can be really, really good for putting out... you got to miss out on like some of the cleanse and consistency, putting himself to sleep. But because everything he does is like an AoE, he's a really good applicator of Hex. So he's in there with the Cursed set. Decent speed. Just fairly average stats all around, bit of damage. Rule the Huntmaster, not really built for damage, so maybe could squeeze a bit more out here. He's got good attack and crit damage, but he does not have Savage. He's got Cruel and Perception. So that would up his damage to have him in Savage. Shamail coming in like this, so fairly standard, sort of damage Shamail, but a bit slow. And Mashald was coming in with this. I don't think we've got the build for Uko, but that doesn't matter really too much. Yeah, I thought this is a pretty cool team. Like I said, pretty funky, pretty interesting. But I thought it's definitely interesting to see that the damage Rule Shamail are not doing crazy damage, that Garol is just doing so much. That's what's kind of intense, because like Rule's not an amazing gear, and we're not in absolutely crazy gear with Shamail here, but they're not in bad gear. Like 5,000 attack with 260% crit damage is decent, but it's just being absolutely put to shame by Garol. So that was really cool to see the mythical come in and to do the work. But here we go for Bango's run, and you can see we're like 8 minutes in and we've done 35 million. So he's got the 1 key there. It's been a slow run though, going in on manual. I think that is the thing about this team. Let's actually see. I think he's locked it in for this week. I still have yet to do my keys because I was sick. We come in on brutal. So this week he did 300. So not his best week. He actually did 400 million with this, with better RNG a different week. But still, you're coming in, that's multiplied by 3 because of the brutal multiplier, and you're getting like over 900 million points for Hydra Clash, which is more than enough to get the absolute maximum chest, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you can see there. And in terms of the overall damage of this team, Razelvarg doing the most, Mithrala actually in second with the Hex, then Newt and Shamail actually putting out very, very similar damage, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. Very impressed with this team. But you can see there's a lot of decision making that goes into this and some really interesting builds. So let me show you the build. So Razelvarg, first of all, he's got 4 sets, because of course he does. He's just going in very fast, right? So 290-ish speed, 5,500 attack, whatever, 260-ish crit damage. He's going in, he's fast, he's hitting hard, taking lots of turns, and that's sort of the deal with Razelvarg. I broke that down sort of in detail in my video on it. And these are the masteries that he has given his Razelvarg. For Mithrala, he just has her in Perception. He was experimenting with a few different things. He ran her in like a Provoke set, which was really interesting. He's now switched her back into a set which is just more generally applicable to lots of different areas of the game. So she's very quick at like 290-ish speed. She does have high crit rate. but decent resist and good accuracy. So all of that put together, she's going to be good in arena. She's going to be good sort of everywhere with this. She's going to be decent. So a very all-rounder type build. These are her masteries. So picking up War Master for extra damage. Physics in Relentless, which I love. I built Physics, so I didn't have any Relentless left over. I built her in Reflex, but I think Relentless is great because everything that Physics does is just so powerful. So like we'll see when we come back to Physics, she's putting out decreased speed, helping that be consistent. She's doing the provokes, helping that be consistent. And especially if you're going to manual it like this, like you can really play around that and min-max it and, you know, use your provoke when you need it. But yeah, as you can see, he does not have any other provoker in the team. Physics with Relentless and possibly Physics with Reflex are good enough to do it. On the hard team I did, yeah, it was basically Physics was doing it almost on her own. But we had like a backup provoke set on an Uko because we were going full auto, right? This one is not full auto. One big thing, I've heard this asked before as well with Newt. A lot of you are probably using Newt in Hydra. He does max HP damage, right? That caps out. And because Newt's multipliers are really good, you don't actually benefit from hitting a decapitated head with Newt. It doesn't work because you're going to hit the 10% max HP per hit cap anyway. You simply can't do it. So you're already capped on damage. You can't benefit from the decapitated extra. So with Newt, on manual, he does really well because you can target his Blessed Bash, his max HP nuke, onto a head that's alive and just get started on actually killing that head in advance, right? There's no point in hitting a decapitated one. And yeah, you always want to hit the one as well that's got the most max HP. In this case, Suffering is like your best case scenario, unless of course Suffering is a bad affinity. But yeah, Suffering has the most HP. So number one, it's difficult to actually kill Suffering and get rid of him. And he's just lowering your damage. He's kind of a pain. So that's where Newt can really excel, is by helping you come in and actually take Suffering down, which is really good. Again, unless Suffering is the bad affinity. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. And her stuff. So yeah, Physics, you can see she's coming in at good high speed. That is going to be essential, right? You need a fast Physics if you want her to be your basically solo provoker. Her accuracy is a bit low, so he's obviously struggling there. That would be better to get it higher to make it more consistent, but he's getting away with it. He's got crit rate on her as well. I think that's pretty optional too. Like you can totally build, you can sort of tweak her, I think, how you need for what difficulty you're on. And she's quite tanky as well to make sure that she survives. These are the masteries for the Physics. Then we've got Inquisitor Shemael. He's in double, what's that? Not Bloodthirst. What's it called? I can't remember. The one you get from the clan shop anyway. Doesn't matter what it's called. Gives you crit damage and speed. Then he's got Perception. Again, I think the perfect set for Shemael is like Reflex or something like that, but it's tough to get him in that sort of gear. I think a lot of us still don't have that, but he's coming in high attack. He's got, like I said, 5,500 or so attack, about 250-ish speed, and 290% crit damage. So right, his Shemael is really pumping out some damage. It's very, very well built Shemael. And his masteries are like this. So grabbing the Giant Slayer and counterattack stuff just for maximum damage output, especially against Head of Blight. This build, I think, is super interesting and very difficult. This is a very gear intensive build, but has a big impact. So with Newt, he's got him at like the 254 speed range. So that's brilliant for all of the hard mode dungeons. You're going to need him to be that fast. So that's great. 100% crit rate. We still have him with about 236% crit damage. That's really solid. But this is the spicy stuff. He's got like 470 resistance and also over 400 accuracy. So what this Newt is able to do, we'll see Head of Mischief come in here. Also, he's got, I believe, a Blood Shield ring on this Newt as well. But because Newt, right, it's a problem with Newt in Hydra. He puts counterattack if you want to use his AoE, right? It's AoE decrease attack and weaken. And certainly in this composition, we only have Ugo. We don't have like a Lydia or something like that. We have no other source of weaken. So weaken would really up our damage a lot for Razelvarg, for Shemael, for everybody. It's a lot of extra damage. But what do you do when he keeps being targeted by counterattack? Okay, right there, it fell off. It was just the worst timing for me to make this point, unfortunately. But what Newt can do is, yeah, with this move, you can have him or with enough resistance, you can actually have him be the mischief tank while also doing all the regular Newt stuff. Like I said, it's very, very intensive in terms of gear, but he does have a blood shield accessory on him. Okay, so I've skipped ahead. Hopefully we're good now. Newt, he's close to taking a turn. He might go and drop some buffs here and prove me wrong. I think I've skipped ahead to the right spot though. Here we go, he's going to counterattack, gets himself a little blood shield, and we should see Mischief about to take a turn, and he should Mischief tank hopefully fairly well. Again, here, this is a tough choice in terms of what to target. He's just going to go for the decapitated head, which is fine. Stack up some of that defense decrease. Oh man, and yeah, he has just outrun his buffs. Never lucky. I think Mithral is going to be targeted, but that's also totally fine. Yeah, right there you could see he had Newt had two bad affinity heads, and then you had Mischief without Hex on. So it was like, oh, what do we actually target with the Newt? Oh, he's actually really gone around through the buffs. We might be max buffed here. Yeah, so there we go. Newt gets targeted by Mischief, resists it all, and goes in, gets his whole counterattack, which is a nice bit of extra damage. So yeah, I think this is a really cool build, this Newt build. It's pretty awesome. It's very hard to do, right? This is where your this is where that Great Hall could come in a pretty big way. I did some live arena. I've been slacking again. I need to get back into it. But, you know, having some resistance and accuracy there, it's going to make that much easier. Just any stats you can have, because it's so intensive to get these sorts of stats on Newt. I think it's really tough, but it's really interesting because it opens up you just using his A2 and really making things more consistent. These are the masteries for the Newt as well, by the way. Very straightforward. Ugo then is in Relentless with good accuracy, very good speed, and lots of HP with these masteries. So nothing too crazy in terms of, did we see any weird blessings? I don't think so. Let's take a quick gander at the blessings. We've got Phantom Touch on him. We do have 6-star Cruelty on Ugo. That's going to stack that up, so that's really nice. Mithrala, we got 3 champs at Brimstone, so not too worried about it. I think it's quite awkward to get Brimstone to land perfectly. I mean, Head of Suffering is usually ideal, but yeah, I'm not sure if he's playing around it too much. And then Phantom Touch on the Razzlevarg as well. And there you go. You can see the damage output. This is a very confused blob of sets right there. I think that is hilarious. But yeah, so really sick key from Bango. Like I said, this key before got up to like 400 million on Brutal, which is just so impressive. You can see actually here, like Grand Llama, in like obviously it's totally eclipsed. You know, I mean, 300 million damage. You're like, wow, that's really good. And then you're like, oh yeah, but you've got, you know, Trunda keys. You got 22 billion. So you know, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But only 6% of you want Trunda to be changed. Wait, do we have over 50%? I'm curious. Does it go over 50 if we include? No. Okay, so 43% want one of these nerfed. I don't know. You do you guys. I'm kind of done arguing it. I think I'm kind of sick of talking about potential nerfs or anything like that. I'm just like, whatever happens at this point. I don't care. We see Grand Llama here as a similar thing. He's got Savage on Razzlevarg, so the 90 million. Harima as well. I really underrated her for a long time in Hydra. She's really strong in that. Lethal, absolutely slamming it out. 88 million as well. Mithrala, actually Islin, Shamel, and Ugo. I think he said he did not like Islin for this rotation. I think he's a bad affinity for it or something like that. So he was like, I wouldn't use Islin again. But Islin is doing a sort of physics type thing of bringing the decreased speed and stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool key as well. So very similar concept, really, but with just a couple of different champs going in. And doing the job. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully that was interesting to you. We've got mythical champs in there. We've got absolutely insane brutal keys as well. Great job for everyone whose keys I talked about here today. Is really interesting. But there you go. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your keys in Hydra Clash. I'll see you tomorrow for Clan versus Clan tournament. I'm actually really excited to build Timit and Kaja, and I'm going to try them out. So see you all then. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.